Hello everyone, I'm here today with a new video and this one is a flip through. I'm showing you my February 2025 trip to Chicago. I've already finished my January trip, that was with a friend. February I was with my husband because it was for his birthday weekend. He chose to go to Chicago to see Clue when it was at one of their theaters. So here you can see I started with coffee. There's a coffee place in downtown St. Paul. We like to stop there before we take the train. It's on the way, super easy to get in and out of there. And it's just cute on the inside. So I wanted to showcase that since technically this was the start of our trip. And then over here, you can actually see when we're en route to Chicago. And I got to use one of my DIY travel embellishments. It just happened to match. I love that it said scenic route because on the train, you're definitely looking at the scenery. And then here you can just see it says February and that we're off to Chicago. So once we got in, it was already dark because it was February. It's dark, at like 4:30, 5 o'clock already. So it really wasn't that late, but it looks like it because it's pitch black outside. Luckily, they have some buildings lit up so you can see the Sears Tower here. We were actually waiting for our bus at the station that's right across from the train station. And it just happened that we were staying at the Knickerbocker, and in order to get there, the best way is to do a bus because it's direct. Dropped us off very close, very little walking, which is awesome. We could have done the subway, but it would have been a longer walk. So the L really wasn't the best choice. So we went with bus. And then I had my husband keep his Venture ticket. I have a hard card. I've had it for years, and I'm hesitant to give it up. You can scan with your phone now. But I like having the hard card because then it means you don't have to have your phone out all the time, which is kind of nice, especially when you're in a crowded, busy station. So just keep that in mind if you're wondering to go when you go. Should you scan your phone, get a hard card, just do like a daily pass ticket? All of those are options. He just did a daily pass for the time that we were there. And then here I wanted to showcase our hotel because I had never stayed at the Knickerbocker before. And it's lovely. It's an older hotel, as you can tell, but it's very well kept. Staff was really great. Loved our room. Very comfortable. But honestly, when you're in Chicago, you don't spend that much time in your room. And we didn't either. I only did this because I got a super good deal on it. Normally, we probably would not be able to afford it. Like if we went in the summer, it would be out of the budget of what I was willing to spend. But in February, that's not peak tourist season, so it was fine. And you can see here, I added in a card that was hotel related. And then I talked about it a little bit. And I did some stamping on a tag that had, or on a label that had a bus, since we took the bus there. Because the Knickerbocker is close to Water Tower Place, we walked through there to get our dinner. And we really didn't have anything we could do that night other than go to dinner because of the time we arrived. But it was all lit up with lights. So we took our time slowly walking through there. If you've never done it, I've done it during the day too. I find it prettier at night. It's still pretty during the day, but at night, come on. I mean, that's pretty gorgeous. So we made sure we stopped and did a selfie so we could get it in the background. And then I chose to enlarge this because it was just too beautiful not to. And then I had so much black and white happening. I'm like, well, what other color am I going to use to offset that? It just worked out that my winter jacket here that I brought is a very bright pink. It's like a fuchsia kind of. And so I thought, okay, I'll use that. And I happen to have this cut for a 2x2 pocket, but it works here. And then I have this, which is very appropriate to how I feel about this. So this is our dinner. We went to a place called Pippin's Tavern. It was, I would say, maybe 5 blocks from our hotel. So not a bad walk. It was a little chilly, but it wasn't horrible. So we just bundled up and we were fine. But you can see here the pictures from the inside. We did do some appetizers. We really hadn't eaten on the train. We decided to just bring snacks. So we were quite hungry and ready for dinner. So we had apps, we had drinks. And then, what did I have? I think this was a Moscato. I think it was Moscato. But we had drinks here, and it is an Irish pub. So of course they had Jameson, and I love the mosaic sign. So I wanted to get a picture of that. And then I had the portobello mushroom sandwich, and it was divine. On the way back, we just passed some lovely buildings that were lit up. This is 4th Presbyterian, I believe. And I have been by the outside multiple times. I have yet to make it on the inside. Every time I've been near it, like they have something going on. There's a wedding or a funeral, services happening, whatever. It just didn't work out. So I still have it on my list. I'm hoping that when my friend Robin and I go back this summer that we'll be able to see it then. In our hotel, they had some brochures sitting there about things to do in the area, and I have always thought of this area as part of River North, but technically it's not. It's Streeterville, really. If you look on a map, that's how it's categorized. So there were some maps there for the Streeterville area, and I thought, I'm just going to take one and see what's in there. They did have a great map here, and our hotel is even on there. It says Knickerbocker. So I had to use it, put the little arrow on there indicating where we were staying. So as you can see, we were very close to the water, but also quite close to a bunch of other things. Like here's Water Tower Place right here. So it was a great area to stay. A lot of times I either stay right in the Loop or I stay in Lincoln Park. So this was kind of in between the two, which is interesting. So when we were done with dinner, we just came back and rested until it was time for bed, because again, like really wasn't that much happening that night that we would go out and do. So we decided to just like take it easy, relax, go to bed, sleep in a little bit up, and then get up in the morning and go about our day, because we knew it was going to be a very full day. And it just so happens that Wildberry, and I believe there are 3, this is one on Pearson, Wildberry was just like 2 blocks down, and I had heard that they were great for breakfast and brunch, and so we thought, okay, why not try that? So we did. And I know there's sometimes a long wait for this. We got in right away. We really didn't have to wait, and it was quite busy, but we still got in, so that was awesome. And I had a dirty chai. It was fantastic, so I wanted to just feature that. It kind of matched their sign out front. I'm all for that. And I just did a strip of matching paper to go with this color and a puffy sticker. And on to our meal. As you can see, they are huge portions, and we didn't quite know that when we ordered, so I could have ordered like a lot less, I think, and been fine. But it was all excellent. I had one of the crepes, so good. So if you're a crepe person, now you know they're good here. And here you can see kind of the inside. This one happened to be stuffed with walnuts as one of the options, so it was so yummy. But again, I had to think about color on this one because there's a lot of yellow happening. I'm like, well, what else could I do? I guess I could do black and white. Sure, that works. So I had that, but I happened to have this card that also had red, and I thought, you know what, I can make that work. Is there any other red like in what I'm wearing? No, but I had this card also black, white, and red. I think this looks okay, and so I chose just to keep the embellishments to black and white, just so the colors weren't competing, and I think it turned out well. Once we were done at Wildberry, we wanted to go to the art museum. I'm there a lot, but my husband has never been, and so I'm like, well, let's go, even if we just do the Ferris Bueller thing, because we were joking, like, we're gonna go do that, which he did do. And I also, just for the record, bought him a shirt before we went that says Save Ferris, and I made him wear it that day. He didn't argue anyway, but I'm like, if we're gonna go do that, you gotta wear the shirt that says Save Ferris, right? So here we are outside. I got a picture of him with one of the lions there. And then my ticket, I have reciprocal membership because I have a membership to the museum where I live, and Chicago accepts it. So I can get in there for free anytime I want. So there's no reason not to go. But again, I kept this simple. You know, the ticket was just black and white. I added a little color to match because there was some light blue happening. Just a phrase here, one pocket card here. Very simple, again, very clean and graphic style, which works. And then I wrote Ferris Bueller moment for this, and that's it. It didn't really require much else. Since we were already in the area that had some Impressionist paintings, well, then you have to go buy the Monets, right? Or at least I do. So I wanted to take a look at those again. I've seen them a lot, but I never get tired of it. And here I just happened to have photos where they both had quite a bit of purple in them, so I was able to match that. I had a background card already done that would match, and I just chose to go with the sort of yellowy orange or orange tones, and that worked here as well. And we knew we wanted to go see American Gothic, but other than that, he was asking me, like, what else is here that you think I would like? And I said, you know, maybe the Chagall windows, because they're lovely and they're just very, very interesting to look at, so why not stop there? So we did that, and he did like them. And we did a museum selfie while we were there. We figured with this lovely backdrop, how could we not? So we did that, and then it was on to American Gothic. And of course we were dorks, and we had to stand in front and pose. I've actually never done that before, which surprises me. I thought I had once, at least on a selfie of some kind. If I did, I can't find it. So good that we were here and able to take pictures of each other, and it worked out well. When we were done there, we knew like we would have time left where we could slow walk over to the theater. We did a matinee, so we just made sure we timed it correctly, and we were a little bit earlier probably than we needed to be to Clue, but that's fine. It gave us a chance to just peruse the theater and look at the merch and all that stuff. But I do have pictures of the outside before we even went in the theater. And when I saw Hamilton in Chicago, this is the same theater. So I had already been in there. So like I knew how gorgeous it was, but he had never been in there. And then here I saved part of the playbill from Clue. I generally do not put the whole thing in there. It just takes up way too much space. It's too bulky. But I tend to remove the cover, which I did here. And then I added just a phrase strip that I had I have several museum sets that have cards and elements and things. So I just used one of those. And on the back, I chose to enlarge a photo and covered the entire back because there really wasn't info there that was needed. This was a much better use of that space. And so here I went a little heavier with embellishments than I normally would. These are acrylic, so they are a little bit thicker. But because I kept everything else relatively flat, I was totally okay with that. And I just have a foam glitter sticker down here, another phrase, and that's it. When we were done at the show, we had a reservation at the Catcade. We only found out about this a couple of weeks before we were going to go, and I freaked out because anytime I find a cat cafe, I pretty much have to go there. And my husband loves cats too, so I didn't have to twist his arm, we'll say. But so we made our reservation, and we were in the first opening of the day, basically that day. I don't know if they're open in the morning and close then reopen, but we did show up a little bit early, and like the doors were locked and everything. You could not get in before your time. So we were at the 5 o'clock slot, and this was on the outside. It was so cute. So of course I wanted my picture taken with that. And then more of the front of the building. It's kind of a weird, you can kind of tell here, it's a weird shape. So once you're in there, the front part is just sort of like the reception area. You can buy merch and get snacks and a drink or whatever. And then the cat area is kind of to the side and behind that, if that makes sense. But I wanted to show my reservation, and then I had some physical cat cards that I have from when I used to scrap like my family, do everyday scrapping. I don't do that anymore. I pretty much only do my trips and books. But so I had all these. I'm like, well, then I'm going to use the physical products if I have them. And I love this little guy. He's so cute. And of course, once we were in there, they were so fun. So I have quite a few layouts of this. This one, I just got lucky that there was a lot of purple happening in these. And so I was able to use a purple background. And then I cut down a 3x4 card to make it fit on there. And a cute little mouse sticker, of course. And then over here, I decided to do a couple of collages. And I did them digital just because it's easier to fit more in. Then all I have to do is embellish. So like this card, I just digitally dropped that in, and then I added the physical stickers. Same concept over here, just more photos, but I did drop in some things. So this is a digital card, so is this. And then I think I did do the black digital paper. I think there was something underneath here. Maybe a paw print or something. And I must have liked it originally, but then when I saw it, I decided I didn't like it. Like it needed to be lightened up more or add color. And so I got lucky that I just had this sticker that also kind of matched this color scheme for the most part. So I used it. And then over here, I loved that they had this and that my husband was seated there. So I used that. And then I had, again, some physical paper left over, some stickers. Why not use it? And this paper is so cute. So, and it worked well for a 4x4. Then I didn't have to think too hard about how to fit something in those pockets. And on this side, this was a huge, it looked like that, the airbrush style art. So I had to get a picture of that. Luckily, I had a phrase that said, "You are loved," so I did that. And then this dang cat was laying on top of the Ms. Pac-Man machine. I'm sure it was probably because it was warm from people playing it, but it was quite relaxed there and didn't really want to move. But I thought, well, if you're going to lay there like that, I'm going to take your picture. And then over here, I bought, in their shop, I bought a set of vinyl stickers. And I think there were five or six in the pack, and I only used 2. So I have more that I could put on my laptop. Or if I go back, I could use it again. I mean, who knows? But I liked this one because it had their name on it, so I used that. And I just got lucky that I had some cardstock that was sort of funky like this. And then on this side, 9 up. I love that, because you know what? If you're a cat, you got 9 lives. Then when we were done with that, this was the Lakeview East area, I should say that, which I haven't spent a lot of time in, so it was fun for me to explore a new neighborhood. So there's a bonus of that in addition to seeing the cats. But then we were going to a comedy show that night that was also very close to there. And so we needed somewhere in between where we could go for dinner. And we found this place, and it was actually called Drew's on Halstead. My husband's name is Drew. So since it was his birthday and his trip, I mean, we had to eat there. There really was no other choice. So I included some of those photos. But again, I kept the embellishments very, very simple because these pictures were so busy. Here are the pictures of our meal. Everything we ordered, the apps and our mains, were just incredible. So if you're looking for a place to try, maybe in an area that's outside the loop, outside River North, you want something different, this is a great option. So consider this, and it's super easy to find. It's right on a major corner of an intersection, so you won't get lost. And then once we were done eating, then it was time for the comedy show. It was at the Annoyance Theater, so you can see this is a kind of a hole-in-the-wall place, and it's a lot of younger clientele. Like, all of the people I saw doing the improv shows and coming in and out of shows looked like they were under 30 for sure. So it's not like the Laugh Factory or Second City or something like that. It's very different. I got the sense that maybe these are locals who are really just like doing it because they enjoy it, or maybe trying to break in to doing comedy, and this is where they start. But the tickets are also really cheap. So it's a great way to see some comedy, have a fun night, and you're not breaking the bank. So definitely keep it in mind if you're in Chicago. And here I just did minimal embellishments again, so that just says authentic. And then I happen to have this ephemera piece with the haha on it. I totally got lucky that it actually matches the Annoyance sign. Didn't know that was going to happen, but I'll take it. And then this was just talking about the show that we chose. So there are like 4 or 5 shows that happen at the same time. So when you book tickets, you choose which one of those you want, and you pay like per show. So I chose the one called Chip Chats, so I just wrote about that there, and then some things that were discussed during it. This is one of them. If you're going to time travel, don't kill people. This was actually just on the wall as a decoration, and I loved it. I'm like, these are my kind of people, so I had to showcase that as well. And when we left the theater, I don't think I've ever been through this station before. I'm almost positive, because I really haven't spent much time in this area. If I was up there, it was maybe like by a bus, I think, if I did it. But we took the train back, so you can see us on the platform here. But this is the Belmont station, and it has these cool mosaics. It reminded me more of like what New York does in their subway, how they have the subway tile mosaics. I don't see those a ton in Chicago at their stations, but this had it, and it was super cool. And by the time we got home from that, it's quite a long train ride from all the way out there. So by the time we got back into our room, we were done. We were so full from all the food we ate. We were tired from all the walking we'd done all day. We just went to bed. So the next day, we only had a couple of hours before we had to catch our train home. But this is what we see right outside. This is the Hancock building, where you can go up to the observation deck, and just some nice views of the city around there. And then I happen to have this card still. It says in the city, and it's clearly Chicago, because there's the Hancock building, that's the Willis Tower, Sears Tower. I still call it Sears. Technically it's the Willis Tower, whatever. But again, minimal embellishment, because there's a lot happening there, and that was totally fine to just do one thing and leave it. And then we did want to get coffee. We're both coffee people, so we went over to Dollop, which again was like 2 blocks maybe from our hotel. So we were able to get coffee in this cute little space. I loved the vibe in there. It's very cute. Not a lot of seating though, so don't assume you're going to be able to get a seat, because you might not. And I love this card. That was fun to use. And then this is just stuff about our journey home. So this is our ticket. Our train was delayed a little bit. We were supposed to leave at, I think, 10:55 maybe is when it's scheduled, and we didn't end up leaving till 12:15, so we were about an hour late getting back. Not horrible, but still late. Oh yeah, it says 6:29 was when we were expected, so not too horrible. And then I actually had a 12 by 12 border strip. This is 3D. It's kind of hard to see, but it is 3D. It's layered. These are from Creative Memories, and I don't use their products a lot, but I'm going to be honest with you. I did it simply for this. I mean, the other papers and things in it are great too. I will definitely use them. But the fact that they actually had trains in there, because most travel things do not, this was perfect. And I was like, I can find a yellow card. I know I have those. So I found this one, and I was able to use, again, it was a border sticker, 12 by 12. I was able to cut it down and use a couple here to actually use that and get it out of my stash of Chicago stuff. So it worked out very well. And I will say, now this whole thing is done. I've showcased January and February. I was able to do this when I was off for my surgery. So during the recovery period, at first I couldn't do anything, but then I had made a kit with all my Chicago stuff so I could work on it. So I was able to finish both of these just in the time that I was off, which is awesome. And I'm glad that you have stuck around to watch this with me. Thanks for watching.